Hey, hola Team Geometry. This is a little video about the third IA and some lessons that I think we could all benefit from hearing. So let's get into it. Here are the numbers. Here's how we did. You can see our overall score wasn't too great. It was a 42%. We did tie with Brooklyn. We definitely lost to them, shall I say, in the multiple choice. We got 53% as our average on the multiple choice. Though I was proud of the work I saw on open-ended, overall we did some really great thinking. So I was really happy with that, how you guys did in terms of approaching the open-ended questions. But I'd definitely like to see this number, I'd like to see all these numbers raised, quite honestly, but definitely our multiple choice, which I think can be done with a few quick fixes. So an issue I saw was definitely in test-taking strategies. There are three test-taking strategies that we didn't really use effectively that I'd like to address. So here you can see what they are. Let me just deal with each of them one by one. First is asking yourself, when you get a multiple choice question, what is wrong about the wrong answers? So a lot of times they give you trick answers or traps, and if you can figure out like why did they give you that answer, then you can know like which one's right, and just be a little bit more confident because you'll know, well, for example, I know D isn't the correct choice, for example, because I know like this is what's wrong about D. If that's not clear, it'll hopefully become clear in just a second. So we approached this first question. This is number 2, which we didn't do great on, but just notice here. So they give us the equation of a circle. They tell us this formula. Hopefully from here you noticed right away that the center was at the point 2, -4. So that's the first thing. You just have to know. You have to have studied circles enough to know that pretty quickly. The next thing that you hopefully observe is that r squared, it took some work, r squared is given as 4, which means the radius is 2. So again, this comes from the formula, and I don't think you had to know the formula or have it memorized. I think it was in the little formula sheet they gave you. I could be wrong on that. But once you realize r squared is 4 and r is 2, and hopefully from class you remember that that was like a big discussion point that we had, that like just because you see this, don't say the radius is 4. So once you've seen this, hopefully you can sort of notice like what's wrong about the wrong choices. So let's target this first bit of information. Hopefully you notice that the center was at 2, -4, which right away, if you scroll through, answer choice A, we'll say, well, 2, -4, that looks pretty good. B, 2, -4, same thing, that looks pretty good. C, and then right here I'm like, hey, wait a minute. The center for this circle is at -2, 4. So that one is definitely out. Answer choice C is out, and I've identified what the issue is. The issue, I'm moving it around. The issue is right there, center. That's wrong. I can then quickly look at D and say, well, D is going to have the same problem. The center is in the wrong spot. I'll just also point out sort of if it was a make it work type of moment where you don't really remember all the stuff that you should, I would do something like, I would notice, well, here, clearly the point -2, 0 is on this circle, and I would take a moment to plug -2, 0 in here and see if it works, and I would find out that it actually doesn't make this equation true, so I could be like, this is not working for me. Same thing. If I forgot the center business, if I wasn't sure about the signs, I could just find a point here, plug it in, and see if it works or not. That's one other option. So again, just make it work. And again, now, when I'm looking between A and B, so I now know that like it's either between A and B, which have the correct center of 2, -4, I go to my radius. Radius is 2. I look at this and I say, aha, the radius for this is clearly 4. Radius is 4. You are incorrect. B has to be the right choice. So if you look, I've identified what's wrong about A. It's the radius. What's wrong about C and D? Same thing, it's the center. So literally take a moment to go through your wrong answer choices. Just write out why they're wrong. It gives you a lot more confidence in choosing the correct answer, which was B. Next, I wanted to talk to or address a strategy Principal Banks says a lot, which is picking the low-hanging fruit. If you think about what that might mean, instead of like climbing up a tree to get the fruit at the very top, just get the easy stuff first. So one of the things with 24, if you need to, again, at any point, pause the video to refresh your memory on the question. One of the things about 24 was a hard question for sure. One of the things that like some people who were very smart about taking tests did was they were like, well, let me see what I can actually figure out. So looking at this, we have a ratio that may be troublesome. Area perimeter for a circle of radius s. Some of the really like clever people, if you didn't know what the perimeter of a circle was, it's circumference, by the way. That's neither here nor there. This is what I want to focus on. Everyone knew the area of a circle was pi r squared. So low-hanging fruit, whether or not you're comfortable finding ratios, know what perimeter is, as soon as you see this, area for a circle of radius s, you can literally set up, here's the area formula. If the radius is s, it's pi s squared. That would have gotten you some points. So literally like doing something as simple as setting this up. Even if you can't figure out, again, the whole ratio of area to perimeter, or you don't know why bees don't like honey that comes out of circles, this is something that's low-hanging fruit that you could easily get. So anytime you're stuck or you're sort of looking for some points, just, again, pick the low-hanging fruit. And I just want to take a moment to shout out. There are a bunch of scholars who were really impressive. Blew my mind. I didn't see this coming. Who figured out why bees don't use circular cells, why they do hexagonal cells, is because circular cells wouldn't tessellate. They would leave gaps. If you tried to build a honeycomb out of circles, you get these small, sort of almost triangular-looking gaps in between them, so you're wasting whatever they build honeycombs out of. But so you're wasting space. So mad props. Again, we did really great on the open-ended just because people were thinking really well. This problem definitely like messed up a lot of us. It comes down, I think, again, to annotating and actually organizing work well. If you look at the question stem, this word, extra miles, is what messed up the vast majority of us. So people noticed, they paid close attention to the diagram, they noticed that right angle right there. So they were saying, aha, this is a Pythagorean theorem question, which was great. That enabled them to find, I'll just call this C, the length of the old pipeline. But the question wasn't how long is the old pipeline, and that's what most people ended up saying. I think it ended up being 68. And so most people were like, well, I found the length of the old pipeline, so I'm done. If you read the question, it wants to know about how many extra miles will the oil flow once the new route is established. So if you think about that, it's asking you to compare how much longer the new route is compared to the old route. So really, you want to be doing new minus old. And so once you found the old route was I'm from Jersey, so we say route. Once you found the old route was 68, that's not the answer. The answer is, again, how many extra miles is it? You need to figure out, well, how long is the new route? And then compare that to the old route by subtraction. That's not too hard to do, hopefully. If you look at the new pipeline, you'll see it flows 60 miles plus 32 miles. Add them up, you get 92. 92 minus 68 gives you the correct answer, which was 24. But my point is this. It's annotating the question and potentially organizing your work, like saying your strategy. Take new minus old. That's what they want to know. So just be on guard. Annotate, organize. And the last sort of point I'll make about annotation and organization, this question 12, was tough for us. As I looked through work, people had a whole bunch of different things that they tried to do, and really this was a little bit simpler than a lot of people made it. I think one of the things that I saw on very few papers was people actually annotating the way I'd asked you to. So circle perpendicular, what does perpendicular mean? It means opposite reciprocal slopes. So this becomes a slope question. So I saw people who set up pictures, mostly with slope, which was good, but some people did like midpoints. Again, midpoint, there is no word midpoint in this question. Like what you should have noticed is, again, perpendicular, which is talking about slope, so you know you're doing slope. since they give you these two lines, I'll do one in blue and this other one in red, or points on two lines, you know you're trying to find slope. You know the formula for slope. And the issue becomes then, can you apply that to both of these lines given, and use the fact that it's opposite reciprocal. So in setting up your equation, if you remember what to do, one thing that becomes very helpful is actually literally just writing for yourself what's going to happen. You're going to find the slope of like the first line, I'll say slope 1. Then we're going to find the slope of the second line, we'll call it slope 2. Then we're going to have to take the opposite reciprocal of one of them. I'll just say of slope, whatever, 1. And once we've done that, we can say slope 2 equals the opposite reciprocal of slope 1. And if you don't want to write all that, I don't care. Write something like 2 equals 3. I'll take my slope from 2 and I'll set it equal to my slope from 3 or whatever. And then actually like do these steps. Calculate the slope for 1, simplify it. Calculate the slope for line 2, simplify it. Take the slope from 1, flip it and reverse it, the CL8 style. And then set what you got here equal to what you got here. But actually organizing these out, literally taking the 20 seconds it takes to write out your strategy, would have helped a lot of us not miss this question, because this was something that you had seen a lot of, and we probably shouldn't have had so many difficulties with it. Alright, that's all for now. Thanks for watching.